Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. I remember ages ago watching this one Billie Eilish interview, and it's where she did the same interview every single year on the same day. And I kind of wanted to do that for myself just because I think it would be cool to see kind of the growth. And that's really what this thing is all about, Legacy Voyage, following my journey and documenting and sharing everything I learned. This won't be nearly as professional as her. This will literally be off the cuff questions that I just gathered together and wanted to show. But yeah, today, actually, I guess we'll start it off like this. My name is Dean Wata. Today is October 1st, 2024, and I am currently 20 years old. I just turned 20. Some of the numbers that I want to keep track of: health, wealth, all the things like that. So we'll start off. My current net worth is around 30-ish thousand. I'm 20.5-ish% body fat, 210 pounds, and I can currently rep 185 for 5 reps, a bench press. So I wanna up that for sure. Up that, lower the weight, lower the body fat percentage, and then also on LinkedIn. I think Billie Eilish, she keeps track of like Instagram followers. I'm not on Instagram, so we'll keep track of LinkedIn followers. I currently have 1,200 LinkedIn followers. Who knows what that'll end up being next year? That's not too big of a focus right now, but we'll just, I don't know, dive into it. We'll start off with the easier questions. First, how am I feeling today? I'm honestly feeling like pretty meh. I think I think I ate a bunch like earlier today. Like I ate like 2 quesadillas and a bagel for lunch. And last night I ate a ton of pizza. So feeling pretty meh in terms. I also didn't get a lift in, so I'm about to go get a lift in after this. So that's probably why. I mean, in terms of like classes are pretty good. Honestly, classes are pretty phenomenal. I cannot lie. Classes are really good. Just started school up again. But yeah, I think today is a pretty meh type of day. Like nothing too ecstatic. To be honest, we gotta be super honest here. What did I eat today? Like I think let's go exactly through it. I ate 2 quesadillas, some rice, and a bagel. I think that was it. I do believe that was it. I usually skip breakfast, so I just did like a big lunch, maybe a big dinner, or I do like a big dinner, a big breakfast. But I usually skip at least one meal. Yeah. Let's see. How often do you talk to your family? Every day. Every day. I mean, this past weekend, I literally just came back from Vegas, where all the siblings, we all surprised my mom. So that was honestly super, super fun. And it was really cool because, I don't know, there's a certain joy that comes out of being a part of this big family. Because I've been around other friends who they're like an only child, and all their friends are only children, or one of like 2 siblings. And so to see that dynamic and how they wouldn't be able to have this type of experience where all the siblings who live at like different parts of the country all come together for a weekend, just decide to pull up and surprise mom. So that was really, really cool. But I think like other only children could definitely experience that. I feel the same way, but I don't know. It was just really, really cool. So that was awesome. Oh, this is a cool question. Biggest tech advancement that has blown your mind? Let's see, within the past year, because ChatGPT is over a year old. Well, what is like the biggest tech advancement? I don't know. I'll just run through some things that I think are super cool. First of all, I discovered this thing called Arc. It's this really cool browser. Like, I actually love it. I listen to the podcast and everything. Arc is an amazing browser. I've gotten more into Perplexity. Perplexity is like I guess it's like a search engine, but you look up a question. It's kind of like Google. You look up a question, and then Perplexity will find the answer like super, super fast. So that's really cool. I'm not sure what it would have to be something related to AI, I think. Like some smaller things is that when I go to the airport, they have a face scanner now. So I don't even have to scan my boarding pass or my ID. They just scan my face and then I can walk in. I think some boarding planes as well. Like when you board the plane, they just scan the face and then you can go. Self-driving cars. I think those have been a thing. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty out of touch. I'm pretty out of touch with all this tech stuff, so I guess I gotta hop on it. Let's see. Ooh, what's the first thing you did this morning? Use the bathroom, I guess. I think I grabbed my phone. I grabbed my phone and then I used the bathroom because now I'm trying to get in the habit of weighing myself every day. And I have like a smart scale. So this is how I know my body fat percentage, because I have this smart scale. If it's not accurate, it's at least precise. So it'll be like kind of in the same ballpark area every single morning. So I usually try to weigh myself in the morning. just to try to hold myself accountable. So I didn't do it today, honestly, because someone else was in the bathroom and I didn't want to like, I don't know, weigh myself while they were also in there. But I don't know why I was self-conscious about that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something to work on. Yeah. And then I just got ready and then headed out to class because I woke up, I think, at 10:30 a.m. for my 11 a.m. class. Yeah, because I stayed up last night as well. Walk me through your day. Yeah, I just walked through my morning routine. So I woke up, got ready, went to class. I went to an entrepreneurship class. There, dude, that class was like, bro, it's just so unorganized. But I guess it's a new program, so it's meant to be unorganized. So they're still trying to figure out the kinks and stuff. Because literally we spent an hour and a half doing something that we could have done in like 30 minutes. But that's okay. We love the professor. We love the program. Next quarter I'm gonna be in San Francisco, so that'll be super cool. We'll do that. And then after, what else did I do? I think after that I went, ate lunch. That was the big meal I was talking about. And then I went to my logic class. And then now I'm here. And then I'm about to get a lift in after this. And I had some rugby practice. What am I currently working on? Let's see. I think the biggest thing I'm working on is We Are Nation. We Are Nation. It's the thing I've been working on all summer, and coming now, I'm trying to get back into the grind, back into the groove of things. But that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, trying to figure out like how to keep growing it and monetizing stuff like that, and serving our people. Really, that's the biggest thing. And then of course we got school as well. Unfortunately, no, I enjoy school. What's the biggest thing happening in the news right now? We got the election going on, so that's pretty big. Biden dropped out, and Kamala. Honestly, I'm not into politics whatsoever, so I'm not really into the news. But that's probably the biggest thing, the election. Coolest person I've met last year. Huh, this is an interesting question. I've met so many people. Like, actually an insane amount of people. Let me think if I can find one of the coolest people. Man, this is tough. One person who's... You know what? There was this one person who came in as a guest speaker for one of my classes. I think it was an entrepreneurship class. So they came in as a guest speaker, and this person, they sold their company, because they were one of the co-founders, for a couple $1 billion. So this guy is like, maybe he's probably not a billionaire, maybe he might be a billionaire, but he's at least like, he's got tens of millions, probably $100 million at least. He came in to speak and he was telling us his story and everything he was doing, and he's like, okay, but now I'm a track coach at one of their children's high school. And I thought that was so cool. Or not even high school, but maybe it was like elementary. But I thought that was so cool because this person, after making all of this money, has finally decided that's enough. And they've just gone back to like living life, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was really cool because he's just being there for his kids and being like this high school track coach, which I thought was really cool. So I guess that was a pretty cool person. Like, showed me where his values lie, I think. Who else was really cool? Man, there's so many other people. But the fact that I can't think of them off the top of my head, maybe they weren't that memorable, unfortunately. Let's see. Maybe like, yeah, that's all I can think of for now. I'll move on to this question. What are any favorite or recent books/podcasts, etc.? I think one of the most recent books that I like truly dived into was one called The Courage to Be Disliked. That was a very interesting book. And then now I'm just kind of like perusing different books, like just skimming and seeing where the vibes are. I've gone into this thing called virtue ethics recently. It's like very, very similar to how I view this idea of a dream identity is virtue ethics. So I've been kind of picking that up. Yeah, let's actually see. Let's open the Reader app and see what books I'm getting into. Honestly, most of them are somewhat related to my classes. Oh, there's this one book that I'm about to read. It's called What It Means to Be Protestant. Yeah, so on this religious journey. So I guess that'll be that. I'll come back to that. This idea of like where I'm at religiously, or maybe that'll be one of the future questions. Any podcast that I'm into? Let's open up the podcast app. Let's see. Of course, My First Million. I've been getting back into the Philosophize This podcast. This is a philosophy podcast because I'm in 3 philosophy classes right now, and so yeah, it's cool to go back through, listen to what that's all about. The Arc podcast, like I was mentioning, the Arc browser, they have a podcast that I'm super into, and then all the pretty basic ones: Modern Wisdom, Thoughtful Faith. Thoughtful Faith is this LDS Mormon like YouTube channel. And so I turned their channel into a podcast, and so I can listen to their podcast on the go. Yeah, most of these are like businessy, like Alex Hormozy and Layla, and then yeah, philosophy of religion type. Yeah, and there's some others. So some recent ones that I found, the Knowledge Project. Well, I guess I didn't find that one recently. We'll do this like people I admire. This is an interesting one. Basically, a guy just interviews people he admires. He has a really interesting podcast where he interviews his daughters. One of them was adopted. One of them is his biological daughter. But it's so interesting because he has a better relationship or a stronger relationship with his adopted daughter, which is kind of crazy. It's so interesting to listen to. That was a good one. Yeah, those are the biggies. Let's see. We'll move on to the next question. What fear do I have a year from? Let's see. What fear is that? Honestly, as of right now, probably one of the bigger fears is what the heck I'm gonna do this summer. Yeah, because junior summer is like the big summer. That's like the big summer. Everyone locks down their full-time offer after junior summer, and so this is the big question: what the heck am I gonna do this summer? Right now, I really am only having one option, which is just going and working at a startup. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully. Let's see what else is happening a year from now. I guess a year from now I'll be a senior, bro. Oh my goodness. A year from now I'll be a senior and I'll be 21. Oh yeah, this is all crazy to me. I'll be a senior. I'll be 21. So I guess that'll be future me's problem. Like next video will be me trying to figure out what I'm doing career wise. So I guess that'll be even more of a fear. But yeah, I think now it's gonna be like figuring out what to do this summer, but also like what to do now as I'm building We Are Nesian and whether I'm going to pivot to like a different startup or keep doing this one and maybe build another on the side. We'll see. But yeah, let's move on. So I guess the way I kind of slotted these is like there's the shallow-ish questions that aren't that deep. And then I got like medium questions and then I got deep questions. So I guess now we'll move on to the medium questions. No, this one's funny. Do you have a girlfriend? I'm not even sure if I should answer this. No, I don't have a girlfriend. I had my first relationship actually within this past year. And honestly an amazing learning experience. Amazing learning experience. I just learned a lot about, I don't know, like different qualities in myself that I want in myself, but also different qualities in other people and what I want in a future wife. So that was really cool. But yeah, things ended off well, I think. What makes you happy in a relationship? There's some things that come to mind immediately. The first thing is I'm super big on quality conversations. I think, especially now being a philosophy major and as I've been being more social, I guess, more extroverted within the past couple weeks, I feel like just having quality conversations is really, really big for me. So yeah, honestly, I would just leave it at that. Like quality conversations, real deep, intellectual. It doesn't even have to be intellectual, but it can be like, I don't know, just good combos. We'll move on. What is the biggest thing to happen in your career? Within the past year, probably Jumpstart, I'd say. Yeah, Jumpstart. Because this past summer, I did this program where Northwestern, they give about 10 startup teams. This year, it was 12 teams. They gave 12 teams 10K to go full-time into their startup. And they gave us a lot of programming, coaching, different things like that. So that was a really cool, it not only for like the funding part of it, which is always nice, but especially for like, it felt like the stamp of approval, which maybe isn't necessarily the best thing now that I think about it. Is like, oh, you think that you need the stamp of approval, but it's nice to have for sure. And then also the people that I met through the program, because I met some really, really cool people through the program, and I will talk about that, yeah, in the coming questions, I think, later this same video. Advice to yourself a year ago. What advice would I give myself a year ago? Oh, honestly, thinking about it now, advice that I got a year ago was to prioritize learning over earning. And what this means is that like instead of going after all the big investment banking or consulting jobs that everyone goes after, literally everyone goes after over here, go after something where you can learn even more. And I think that's what I did. That's what I did with the startup. So I guess I have to think of a different piece of advice that I give myself a year ago. A year ago, I would have told that person, oh, I know. Ways to confront your emotions. Because a year ago, I had a very, very difficult time confronting my own emotions. Not only that, but confronting my emotions on my own. because I think I was heavily reliant on other people. And so that's something that I taught myself a year ago. Like, find healthy ways to confront your emotions. Let's see. Advice to my future self. What did I tell my future self? I don't know. To that person, I might say go on adventures. Go on adventures. This is something that's only been happening within the past like month, but I've just been a lot more adventurous lately, like, a lot more spontaneous. And I think that's advice that I would give myself. So, man, not only a year ago, but maybe my future self as well. It's like remember to go on adventures, because adventures are fun, dude. They're tons of fun. Although fun isn't like the only thing adventures should be for, but I don't know, they're just so much fun. They bring a lot of happiness for sure. And yeah, you get to meet a lot of cool people, different perspectives. There's so many cool things I think about traveling. But let's see. Are you more confident this year compared to last year? In some ways, yes. And in some ways, no. So in some ways, I'm more confident when it comes to like businessy stuff, startup stuff. Definitely a lot more confident when it comes to like relationships, building friendships, building like an actual relationship. Last year. What else am I? Well, what am I not confident in? Maybe it would be like nutrition stuff, but I don't know. That doesn't really. Maybe, okay, now thinking more about it, I think I would consider myself more confident than I was last year. I don't know, just because I failed so much within the past year, like it's so much. And I've just learned more from that. And so I think because of all those failings and those lessons, I don't know, it feels like I am more confident, or I can be more confident. Let's see, who is your closest friend right now? This is interesting. I think my boy Mateo, he's studying abroad in Spain right now. He's a really cool guy. I met him freshman year. We've always clicked, even since the first time we met. So we've always stayed super, super close. Yeah, I think he's probably the closest friend I have right now. What question do you hate being asked? What question do I hate being asked? Honestly, where are you from? Not because, I don't know, it's just, I have such a hard time answering this question because I'm just from everywhere. Like, it takes, okay, if someone asked me that right now, it'd be like, oh, I was born in Cali, used to live in Oregon, used to live back on the islands in Tonga, and then ended up in Vegas for high school. Like, all those different places, and then they start asking more like, oh, where in Cali, where in Oregon? How long have you been in those places? Like, I think it's just, where are you from? Although it's like, it's a very important question. It's quite annoying being asked that like every single time, and I have to give this long-winded explanation instead of being able to say like, oh, I'm from Vegas, or like, oh, I'm from Cali. Like, just these one-word answers. I give this whole like backstory, and they like, yeah, it's just very long. So I guess that's one question I'm a fan of being asked that, but I'm not opposed to it as well. Are you happy? Man, I don't know why this is a medium question. This is a pretty deep question. I guess it's a pretty deep question, only in cases where I'm not. And I think like being very honest, being very vulnerable right now. I would say I am happy. I'll put it like this: if there was a scale from 0% happiness to like 100% happiness, and 100% is like extreme fulfillment, like, oh my goodness, this is awesome, this is the best. I would put myself definitely above 50. I would say tops 70. So I'd probably put myself like 63. 67. I think 67% happiness, I guess. Because I think for sure I'm super happy with, I think a lot of my life, a lot of the wealth stuff, a lot of my work for sure. I think where I'm least happy is like my personal physical health. It's probably where I'm the least happiest in, because I have such this clear vision of my dream identity. I have such this clear vision of what I want to do, who I want to be, like the numbers that I want to be hitting, but I'm just not there. And not only am I not there, but some days actively take steps away from that person. And not even like full days, some like hours of the day, I take steps away from that person. Whereas like, say this is an example. For most of the day, I'm like super spot on with everything, but there will be like an hour, maybe even 30 minutes where I take steps away from that person. And what I'm referring to is like binge eating. Or not even binge eating at this point, because I don't think it's nearly as bad as it used to be, but more like overeating, I think is probably a better description. So I think because of that, I don't know why, but that has influenced my happiness a lot. And I guess I should also get clear on what I mean by being happy. What I mean by that is just, am I happy with the person that I am becoming, is probably the better term. So honestly, with that new term, with that new definition, I would say absolutely. I'm very happy with the person that I'm becoming, I think. So I'd bump it up from the 67%. I bump it to like a 70. I don't know, to 8 even. 78, I think, is a good number. So, long-winded answer to a very simple question. Oh, yeah, babe. But let's see, moving on. Who can you turn to for guidance? Let's see. Guidance on life. I turn to my sister a lot, actually. Especially when it comes to like relationship stuff. Cause I don't know, as a man, or maybe I was just raised this way, but I've always thought of myself as very slow when it comes to relationships, and I still do believe I am. So having like her opinion on different things is very, very helpful. Mateo, my boy who I mentioned earlier, he's a really good resource. Really cool guy. When it comes to, again, like relationships, but also like life in general, I think. Because he's also kind of like on the grind when it comes to this stuff. Because he's in school trying to make music. So he kind of feels and knows what it means to put in the work. Who else? When it comes to like businessy stuff, I would say people over here at the garage. Primarily Brylan. Shout out to my boy Brylan. He's a really, really cool guy. Yeah, probably him. Anyone else for guidance? I don't know. When I think guidance, I wouldn't even necessarily say my parents, although I am pretty close with them. I don't turn to them like seeking advice. I mainly like turn within. So I guess I seek guidance for myself. It's like okay, what do I think I need to do? What do I think I want to do? Is kind of usually how I approach guidance. Oh, what will you embark on next year? Let's see. Within this next year, I think I'm gonna go on a ton of adventures. Like a ton of them. And I'm super excited for that. One of them, and that's for sure locked in, is I'm gonna be going to San Francisco, living there for 3 months from January to March. Within that time frame, I'm sure I will go on a ton of adventures. But even like outside of that, I can't wait. So that's the biggest thing. And then yeah, honestly, that's probably the biggest thing I'll embark on within the next year. And then of course locking down something for this summer. But yeah, maybe I'll do a new startup. Maybe I'll help someone else do their startup, but that's the biggest thing. What's the scariest thing you've done last year? Scariest thing. There was just one thing I did. Yeah, like in the moment, I wasn't very scared. But looking back at it, I was like kind of in shock. Because there was this one event going on. It was like an event for big time people in finance. And Chicago is a big finance city. So there's a whole bunch of heavy hitters. Like people who are in charge of firms that are managing billions and billions of dollars. And there's this dinner going on where these people are coming together and networking and meeting and everything. And I messaged the person who was heading this up. Her name is Mona. And Mona is Tongan. So that's how we got connected. But I only messaged her through LinkedIn. And she was the CEO of this organization that was bringing everyone together. And so I just asked her, I was like, can I come to the event? And so I pulled up and it was like, man, it was just being in this room that I absolutely should not have been in whatsoever. But somehow getting myself in that room with all these people who are managing billions and billions of dollars. And on top of that, I didn't know anyone over there. Like I knew Mona, but she was around meeting everyone because she's running this whole thing. So she has to like go around and meet everyone. And so I was literally on my own. So to do that, I think it was really cool. And it's also very scary, I think, looking back at it. Because realistically, I should not have been in there. Like, by no means should I have been in there. So yeah, so that was really cool. I'm happy I did that for sure. What makes you feel powerful? I don't know. Off the top of my head, like getting a really good rugby hit or like a really good rugby step when I step someone. What else? What makes you feel powerful is like coming to epiphanies, I think is really cool as well. Like when I'm going for a walk or even when I'm doing podcasts like these, when I talk to myself and think through things, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, it hits me. And this huge epiphany comes. I think those are moments where I feel very powerful. Wow. I finally realized this big, big thing that I've been struggling with and wrestling with for ages. And it finally came to me. So I think that's times or moments where I feel, let's see. I think those were all the questions over there. Finally, let's move on to the deep questions. We'll see where this goes. What's most important to you right now? I'm still on this like adventure kick. So I think what's most important to me right now is meeting people. Like going around and meeting people out here in college, trying to put myself out there more and just make more friends. But not only like the number of friends, but try to find a couple people who I really, really vibe with and yeah, just be like way closer to them as friends. Because I think this is something that I've noticed from other people, but I don't think I've ever had this problem because I'm usually on the opposite side of the spectrum where like I literally have no friends. But I've seen other people where they go on this like whole thing where they have a ton and tons of friends, but really they have no friends as well. Like all of these acquaintances. And so when you go to the party, like you say hi to everyone, but no one comes over and hangs out with you for the rest of the party. Like examples like that. And so I think now, not only do I want to just meet more people, make more friends, but I think what even more important than that, finding friends who can help me toward my dream identity and who align with my dream identity. But not only that, like people that I can help them toward their dream identity and we can work at it together. And so I think trying to find those friends right now is what's most top of mind. And people who I can also just vibe with. So yeah. What's your biggest regret this year? Oh man, I have so many. I have so many regrets. I guess I don't have too many regrets, honestly. But I guess there's one big. I wouldn't even call it a regret. I don't know. Regret's a pretty strong word. I think there are things that I wish I could have learned earlier, for sure. But I feel like I have to go through the mistake, the failure, to learn that lesson. So I guess if there was a failure that happened within the past year that I wish I didn't go through for me to learn the lesson, it would probably, honestly, being super honest, it would probably be something related to relationships, but I probably shouldn't get into that here. So I'll do like a, no, actually scratch all that. What it is would be regrets around like confronting emotions, addictions, things like that. I think for sure. So if I didn't have to, here's the way it would be. The regret would be not being able to confront my emotions in a healthier way earlier. Because now I think I've gotten to a point where I have found a way to confront my emotions in a healthier way. If I would have found that way, which I'm just referring to audio journaling, but if I found audio journaling earlier, then that would probably be one of my bigger regrets. Like I wish I found it earlier. So but yeah, but I found it eventually, so that's a dub. Biggest thing you're struggling with right now. Yeah, I would say, like, even on top of that, it is still the same problem, confronting my emotions. Because now that I found audio journaling, it's not just one thing like, oh, I found this thing now, like I'm off to the races. It's something that I still want to build in as a habit. Because this past month I've been traveling a bunch and haven't been really consistent on the audio journal. And so there hasn't been this outlet, this way, or this habit that'll help me cope with my emotions consistently. And so it's kind of been off and on, but I think that is like the big thing that I've been struggling with recently. And then I guess you could call like sub-segments of that big thing is definitely the health thing, like nutrition and stuff like that. Oh, this is an interesting one. What is the lowest point in the past year? Let's see. The lowest point in this past year would have been a couple months ago, over the summer. So literally 2, maybe 3 months ago, during Jumpstart, the program where I got 10K in full time, when I broke up with who was my girlfriend. And I think one of the reasons it was so tough, or I didn't break up with her, but it was a breakup. One of the things that was super tough is that I relied heavily on her to confront my emotions and to be like this emotional outlet in some ways. And so when I lost her, it was kind of like losing a way to confront my emotions. And so because of that, I turned to very unhealthy ways of approaching things. Things like binge eating, things like anime, things like that. And so I would literally, I remember days vividly where I stayed up till 3, 4, even 5, maybe even 6 in the morning when the sun came up, and I would go to sleep for like 3 hours because I had to wake up the next day to be there for Jumpstart. There were literally multiple days in a row where I did that because I would order Domino's and brownies and kill all of that in one sitting that night. And then I would probably eat more even on top of that. And so that would probably be it, the lowest point. And then it wasn't until I found this way to confront my emotions where I was able to kind of break out of that. And I'm still not like, I won't say by no means am I completely like, oh, I'm completely done with that. Like, no, I never go through times where I'm like overeating or stuff like that. But it's a way better spot than I was during that time period, that couple weeks, man. That was really rough. But that was just one of those things, man. Like I could say I regret that, but going through it was like such a good learning lesson, such a good lesson for me to fail forward. And so, yeah, hopefully that resonates with someone who's listening to this or watching this. What do you want to accomplish next year? For some reason, the things that come to mind is like all physical things, like running a marathon or hitting a certain body fat percentage or even like adventures like skydiving, things like that. No, nothing work related really. So I'll break it down. What I really want to do in this past year, and not even physical things, because I think those are just like byproducts of the main thing. And I think the main thing that I want to do in this next year that I want to accomplish is audio journaling. We'll do a minimum of 5 times a week. Give myself some wiggle room. A minimum of 5 times a week, preferably every single day for the next year. That'll be something I want to accomplish. Yeah, I think that's a good goal, I think, for me to have. Because I think if I can figure out that and handle my emotions, then I think everything else just falls into place. Or at least everything else is a lot easier. One question that I did want to answer is, what's the craziest story from this past year? And I got that on lockdown, bro. Craziest story. Let me set the scene for you real quick. There I am at the top of this mountain in Hong Kong in a mansion on a patio overlooking the entire city around strangers that I do not know. That is the setting for this story. So I meet this person who's from Hong Kong. And 2 weeks after I meet this person, as she's heading back to Hong Kong, I'm like, hey, can I pull up? Or no, she says, bro, you should pull up. I said, bro, that'd be fire. And so I went. So I went to Hong Kong, and one of her high school friends, super, super wealthy, held this dinner. This like dinner with all the high school friends. So all the local people came. And it was the wildest thing. If you've ever seen Crazy Rich Asians, I literally watched the movie on the airplane ride as I was going there. But there's a scene in Crazy Rich Asians where the 2 girls who are pulling up in this car, and they're kind of like, where the heck are we? Because it's super, super dark, and they don't see any lights, and it looks like they're in the middle of nowhere. But they're going, and then all of a sudden the security guard comes knocking on the door, was like, hey, what do you want? What do you need over here? And as they check in, they pull up, and their eyes explode as they're looking at this mansion that is massive. And that's exactly what I went through. We were going up this mountain, up and up and up, and we kept like going around in circles and circles. Not in circles, but what felt like such a curvy road. And we eventually got to this spot where it was like super, super dark, and the security guard checks us in. So we keep going, and all of a sudden we pull up to this mansion, and there's literally this parking garage under the mansion, and there's like tons of cars in there, and there's these drivers, these chauffeurs that literally check us in. And as we go up into the house, it's like these huge doors. It's a huge stairwell up to the doors. And then we open the doors, and it's a direct view into their huge home, but you can see the skyline of Hong Kong from entering their door. So we go into the door, and it's like there's these 3 maids who are over there like getting everything prepared. And it was just the most insane thing in the world. Like that experience was absolutely crazy. And I think it's even crazier that I went to this trip with someone that I met 2 weeks before. But it was like, man, it was so cool. Hong Kong is a dub for sure. Would highly recommend. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Anyways, yeah, I really wanted to tell that story here for some reason, because that was like easily the craziest story of this past year. Maybe next year I'll have like even crazier stories, which will be super, super cool. Let's see. Greatest hits and worst misses from the past year. Greatest hits? I don't know, like going all those adventures for sure. Jumpstart is a dub. I think misses, I guess it'd be like losing Jumpstart, but I don't think that's too big of a problem because I was very happy with my performance. Worst misses. What else did I miss out on? I don't know. I can't really think off the top of my head like worst misses. No, so let's just move on to the next question. What did I change my mind on this year? This is a really interesting question because I think it can be taken in so many different ways. But one thing, and this is one value that I found from traveling over the past month, has been going on all these adventures, being put in a completely different environment and challenging my beliefs. For example, one thing that I thought for the longest time, because I come from this big family, a family of five children, is that I want a big family. Like I want at least like 5 kids for sure. But as I've visited more and more families and having that specific belief challenge, where I go to families and there's an only child and they seem like so happy and so content with their lives. And it's like, okay, like there is a world where having fewer children is possible. And like, and the child can still be happy. Because growing up, I always thought like, bro, if you don't have 4 siblings, if you don't even have like 1 sibling, like what are you doing all day? Like who are you supposed to annoy at that point? But like seeing firsthand that it can be possible, things like that, I don't know, that really changed my mind on a lot of things. So that's one thing. What else did I change my mind on? No, I think that's the most concrete example that I can think of off the top of my head. But I'm sure there are tons more things. But yeah, let's see. What did I learn this year? What did I learn this year, man? Oh my goodness. Bro, like I mentioned, I failed so much. Like I think 2 big lessons. The first one I keep harping on over and over again. Confronting my emotions in a healthy way. audio journaling, big dub. Second thing, like I also keep mentioning, is to go on adventures. Because it just, man, there's so many reasons. Let me run through some of them real quick. First one I just went over. Like being able to break my beliefs and just experience these new cultures and challenge my previously held beliefs. Like I think that's really, really valuable. But also just being able to have fun and meet cool people and have great conversations, I think is really, really awesome. So I'll say that's good. And before I wrap up, let me do the life update. This is something I do on every single one of the podcasts where I go through the big pillars and kind of give the rundown of where I'm at. So first thing is my God. Where am I at on this religious journey of mine? Oh, okay. I'll say this. I do believe in God, or at least I choose to believe in God. And so I'm still trying to figure out. I would consider myself right now Christian. I would not consider myself LDS or Mormon. I would not consider myself Catholic. I wouldn't consider myself Protestant. I would just say Christian. And right now I'm trying to figure out who had it right about Jesus. So that's kind of where I find myself. And I think there's tons of reasons, both for Christianity and against it, but they seem to even out in my head. And so I'm willing to live and devote myself to living a Christian life with the hopes that it'll hopefully reveal more truth to me in that way. There's this book that I read over the past year. Oh, I didn't even mention that book. It's called Taking Pascal's Wager by Michael Roto. That book really heavily influenced my religious views right now. Let's see. So that's a big update on my God. Of course, trying to be consistent on like reading scriptures and praying, because if I devote myself to a Christian life, that entails that, or at least implies that I read the Bible and I say prayers. And so that's something that I'm trying to work on, be more consistent on. Let's see. Update on myself. Yeah, I think the biggest thing has just been really trying to be more on top of audio journal, more on top of confronting my emotions and being able to handle that on my own. Let's see. That's a big update on myself. Update on my people. Like I mentioned, I met a lot of cool people over the past month, like going on all these adventures. But there's two really, I don't know, there's two people specifically that I met like within the past 2 months. And I actually had them both on for one of the podcasts. Names are Katya and Adrian. But the reason I bring them up is because like I think those are examples of people who I mentioned earlier that I could see helping me work toward my dream identity, like truly helping me out. And I could also see helping them toward their dream identity. And so because of that dynamic, I think both of them have just been like really, really great people that I want to stay in touch with and stay close with. And I think that's why moving forward, I want to be big on that. Like trying to find more people like that who will help me toward my dream identity. And so that's what I'm kind of like looking out for in terms of my people. So yeah. And I think, who else is there? I don't know, the next thing would be my work. Honestly, like I have not been doing any type of work over the past month. So I'm trying to get back into the groove of things. I think I definitely will. Especially after today, I've been more productive, I feel. And so, yeah, I'll just keep swinging back into that and being on top of We Are Nesian and seeing where things go. But the last thing that I want to do, actually, that was pretty much everything. The last thing I want to do is describe my dream identity. Because I'm interested to see if my dream identity changes over time. And it's such a big thing for me now, but I'm curious if it stays a big thing in the future. But my dream identity, his name is Sisu, as a Tongan version of Jesus. But there's a couple of exemplars, and these are people that kind of is modeled after, or my dream identity is modeled after. So first, of course, like the name implies, is Jesus Christ. I think a lot of his like moral teachings was really, really powerful. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemies. Go and serve others. Forget about yourself. Like things about like that I think are really, really powerful. And his like way of being so empathetic and loving, and also like leading these 12 nobodies into creating this dominating worldview that is so powerful they were willing to die for what they believed. Like I just, man, it's poetic, bro. It's poetic. What else is there? There's him. There's I haven't talked about him much publicly, but it's my stepdad. I think he's just someone that I look up to a ton. Although I didn't know him for very long. I think I only knew him for maybe like 4 or 5 years since we first met, but we didn't actually like have many conversations. I think I can count on 2 hands how many total conversations I had with him, but a lot of what he did was through his action. I think that's one thing that I respect about him so much. So yeah, there's my late stepdad, and then I would throw Alex Hormozy in there. Although he's not like I don't want to say like, oh, Alex Hormozy on the same level of Jesus Christ in my head. By no means am I saying that. But there are a lot of like characteristics and values that I think Alex Hormozy has that I find actually very respectable. And I'm like, even right now, even today, has influenced me a ton. Like his views on a lot of things, I think has definitely influenced me a ton. And so I think as of right now, those are three exemplars I see and I've identified for my dream identity, Sisu. And so yeah, I think instead of listing out like exactly, oh, I want these values and these traits, I think giving like the general outline, like those are the kind of the three people that modeling after. Like one, honestly, now that I think about it, it kind of models like one is like my God, and one is like focusing kind of on my people, and the other like kind of focusing on my work. That's interesting. Now that I think about it. But yeah, those are like the three exemplars I have in my head. Yeah, but I'm interested to see how that changes. And I'm happy I did this. Honestly, I wish I did this earlier in my life. Not only earlier in my life, but like I wish I did this for college. Like interviewing myself freshman year versus senior year me. So yeah, maybe this will be kind of the gateway for that. I'm currently a philosophy major, so we'll see if I graduate with something else. Yeah, but I'm really happy that I did this. We'll see how it comes out. But man, I'll see you next year. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.